Number 10. Goose Rider. Coming from the same animal-themed alternate universe as Spider-Ham, little is known about this variant of Ghost Rider other than the fact that he is a goose. This may not seem very powerful to some of you, but anyone who has ever dealt with a Canada goose knows how truly dangerous, despicable, and vengeful they can be. The idea of one of these awful creatures also being granted the powers of Ghost Rider is a truly terrifying thing to contemplate, and worth at least the number 10 spot on this list. Number 9. Ghost Rider 2099. The Ghost Rider of the year 2099 is actually the only entry on this list that doesn't get their powers from any demonic source. Zero Cochrane is instead a young computer hacker who was murdered by a rival street gang while out on a hacking mission. In an origin story not dissimilar to Chucky from Child's Play, Zero managed to download his mind into the internet before dying. He was greeted by a group of digital beings who sent him back in a robot body. Realizing that the robo body resembled the original Ghost Rider, Zero decided to take on the identity despite not technically being a Ghost Rider. Zero's power grid in the official handbook of the Marvel Universe actually lists his abilities as being much higher than many of the other Ghost Riders on this list, but as they are not a true Ghost Rider, I have decided to rank him pretty low. Number 8. Ghost Spider. A Peter Parker from an alternate dimension who travels the multiverse with the help of his Uncle Ben, stealing the powers of other Spider-Men in order to better defend his universe. The Amazing Spider, as he called himself, eventually kidnapped the Spider-Man of Earth 616 and brought him to his universe. When Spidey learned of his misguided alternate's plan, he managed to convince him that what he was doing was wrong. Although evil Uncle Ben tried to kill the mainstream Spider-Man, the Spider gave up his life to save the Peter of Earth 616. The Spider was brought back to life by his universe's Doctor Strange and turned into Ghost Spider. We have yet to see this version of Ghost Rider in action, but the mere idea of Spider-Man being granted the demonic powers of the Ghost Rider in addition to his spider powers sounds like a total powerhouse. Unfortunately, the lack of follow-up leaves him in the number 8 slot.
Number 7. Spider UK. The first Spider-Man mashed with another Marvel hero. These mashups always make for powerful characters. Basically, Spider UK is William Braddock, hailing from Earth 833. If you haven't gathered from the Braddock namesake, Spider UK is what would happen if Spider-Man was Captain Britain. As such, he is part of the Captain Britain Corps, being introduced in the Edge of Spider-Verse Volume 1. He is also part of the Spider Army put together to take on the Inheritors, and a pretty important part of it, he was not only an amazing leader but also had a very useful dimension hopping ability. Unfortunately, this Spider-Man didn't actually have a spider sense, which is probably what allowed him to be de-lifed by an attack from behind in Spider-Geddon number 1.
Number 6. Caleb. A Civil War era black man, Caleb was able to purchase his and his family's freedom and set up a life for himself on a farm. Aided by his friend Travis, a former Confederate soldier who Caleb had saved the life of, he was able to set up a pretty good life for himself. Unfortunately, a gang led by a man named George Regan killed Caleb and his family in a racist attack. Caleb was brought back as a Ghost Rider and teamed up with Travis to hunt down the men who had destroyed his family and get his revenge. Because of the personal nature of his mission, Caleb has a determination that makes him truly terrifying to behold. He has all of the standard Ghost Rider powers, such as the flaming skull and the penance stare, but he has also displayed powers that none of the other Ghost Riders have shown to be capable of. These include the power to travel between dimensions with the use of his Hellfire, and the ability to possess and control the corpses of his victims.
At number 5, we have the Ray Connor Ultimate Daredevil variant, aka the Vampire Daredevil. After the first Daredevil's demise in the Ultimate Universe, Roy Connors takes over the mantle as the Blind Vigilante. Except there's one small change which makes a massive difference in the grand scheme of things. Ray Connor has been bitten by a vampire and now possesses the superpowered power set that Daredevil has always deserved. His strength, stamina, and reflexes get an artificial boost, bringing him up a handful of notches in relation to his enemies. And of course, he's also given the ability to turn his enemies into vampires with one bite. The only downside is that he does become vulnerable to sunlight, but he usually does his business at night anyway, so it's not such a bad downside overall.
Number 4, Alejandra Jones. When Johnny Blaze gave up the Ghost Rider curse, the spirit of vengeance transferred to Alejandra Jones. Jones had trained her entire life for the opportunity to become a Ghost Rider so that she could punish the sins of humanity. Because of this training, she was able to be an extremely powerful Ghost Rider, although she lost a huge amount of this power when Johnny Blaze reclaimed the Ghost Rider identity. For the time she had it, she was incredibly strong. She had the power within her to be transformed into a kind of bomb who wiped out all of the sins of everyone in Nicaragua.
Number 3, Spider-Hulk. The second Spider amalgam here. Spider-Man of the Immortal Hulk with Great Power story is granted the alter ego of the Hulk after Loki magically transferred the Gamma power to him. So it's Spider-Man's relative spider powers mixed with an unstoppable green monstrosity with the temperament of a toddler. It's actually really cool. Eventually, the power of the Hulk is switched back to Banner with the help of the Fantastic Four and Banner's own genius. It's a short little story that seems almost self-contained, but it's an insanely cool one, and a Spider-Hulk would be an incredibly powerful character if he were to show up again and had more time to hone his abilities and temper tantrums.
Number 2, Robbie Reyes. Robbie Reyes was a street racer charged with taking care of his little brother Gabe, until one night he was killed in a carjacking gone wrong. Thankfully for him, his car was haunted by the ghost of his sadistic uncle Eli, who revived him and transformed him into Ghost Rider. Robbie now spends his time fighting evil, trying to be a good role model for his brother, and battling the spirit of his uncle in order to try and prevent himself from becoming a force for destruction. He has comparable power levels to other Ghost Riders in most areas, but ability to teleport pushes his stats up considerably, moving him near to the top. Number 1, Red Hulk. On a list that's focused purely on power levels, it's hard to imagine a more powerful combination than the one that occurred in the Secret of Four storyline. When Mephisto's son, Blackheart, enacted an evil plan to literally bring hell to Earth, the Alejandra Jones Ghost Rider, X-23, Agent Venom, and the Red Hulk were there to take him on. When this wasn't enough, the team decided that the best course of action would be to bond the Spirit of Vengeance and the Venom symbiote to the Red Hulk. This led to a creature with the combined powers of Ghost Rider, Venom, and Red Hulk, taking on and beating Blackheart in perhaps the most over-the-top action display Marvel has seen in years.
At number 10, we have Kingpin. Now I know Kingpin is actually Daredevil's enemy in the comics, but in Spider-Gwen's reality, the moniker is actually held by Matt Murdock himself. And considering Kingpin has always been extremely powerful on his own, an amalgam of the two characters creates something pretty impressive as well. With the same training and heightened senses as Daredevil, he's got everything that the character has always had, but he's also got the power of the criminal organization, the Hand, under his thumb. In this reality as well, Kingpin gains access to the multiverse, giving him the power to travel between realities at will, which adds quite a boost to his power set. So yes, Kingpin from Earth 65 at number 10. Before I go on, see if you can guess the rest of this list in the comments. Try and comment at least one variant that you think I'll mention later, and we can see if you get it right. Alright, let's keep going. At number 9, we have Ultimate Daredevil, the first one. In the Ultimate Universe, or Earth 1610, Daredevil appears to be a much more gruesome fighter than his 616 counterpart, and gives into rage and fury much more easily. And although this doesn't necessarily mean he's got a heightened strength level, it surely acts as a motivator for him to reach his full potential on command. This version of the hero also relies on his club for combat situations, using it as a walking stick when blending in as a civilian or otherwise. Ultimate Daredevil does end up dying, but it's not necessarily due to a lack of power. This guy packs a punch, no matter which way you slice it. At number 8 is Elektra. If I have my facts straight, I believe Elektra is currently holding the title of Daredevil in the comics, and her run as the hero has been nothing but an upgrade for Elektra herself. Considering Elektra is already a very powerful hero by her own right, when she becomes the Daredevil while Matt Murdock is in prison, she starts completing some near impossible feats that she may have never been capable of before. Driven by her desire to show Matt that she is truly on the side of good, she goes on to protect Hell's Kitchen from threats such as the Null's invasion and an incident where Bullseye enlists clones of himself to fight against her. Now, Matt is out of prison and the two heroes fight side by side, both honing the mantle of Daredevil at once. And if you ask me, Elektra is more powerful than ever in her current state.
Number 7, Danny Ketch. While visiting Houdini's grave, Danny Ketch and his sister were caught in the crossfire of a gang war. While hiding with his injured sister, Danny came across a motorbike with a glowing gas cap. The gas cap turned out to be a mystical amulet, which transformed him into Ghost Rider. In addition to the usual Ghost Rider powers, Danny is also able to transform into a spirit of corruption, giving him an armored appearance and giving him the ability to fight the spirits of vengeance. While he is a beloved incarnation of the character, there are other versions who are more powerful, even if they aren't as interesting of a character, which is why Danny is relatively low on the ranking.
At number 6, we have the original Earth 616 Daredevil. Although 616 Daredevil has the typical power set, which might not be comparable to the zombie immortality or the Kingpin variant's multiversal travel, his sheer track record is enough to prove that his abilities are worth at least a 6th spot on this list. Some of these feats include his introductory battle with Namor, who compliments him as one of his most impressive human counterparts, and the time he breaks through Stiltman's reinforced armor, or even in the Shadowland crossover when he finally kills Bullseye almost effortlessly. Also, Earth 616 Daredevil is the same variant that has appeared in Frank Miller's Daredevil series, the Daredevil Yellow comics, and even arguably the Daredevil TV show. So he has a ton of experience under his belt and has kept up with some of the most powerful beings in the world. And for someone who is typically known to not have any real superpowers, that's pretty powerful.
Number 5. The Spider of Earth 15. There are a lot of characters who go by the Spider, but specifically, I'm talking about the one that's bonded with the Carnage symbiote who comes from Earth 15. The Spider of Earth 15 is a much more sadistic, sociopathic, red-headed version of Peter Parker, which is proven by the fact that he has been sentenced to a total of 67 life sentences in prison for the crimes he has committed. To make him just a bit more lovable, he has a sense of humor very much like that of Deadpool. The Spider was introduced in Exiles number 12 and was a big part of the reality-conquering Weapons X team featured in it, being a sometimes leader of that team. As a Carnage-bonded sociopath, he was pretty powerful, but he was nonetheless sent to the afterlife by a blast from Firestar in Exiles number 44.
At number 4 is Dare the Terminator from the Marvel DC crossover. This version of the hero gets a higher spot on the list because she harnesses the powers of both Deathstroke and Daredevil all at once. And moreover, since the crossover gives this character a new origin story about how she gets the Daredevil powers, she gets even more powerful than Matt Murdock. And this is because the Daredevil abilities are acquired through scientific genetic experimentation instead of by a freak accident. So with Deathstroke's powers and even augmented versions of Daredevil's abilities, we get a much more powerful iteration of the hero who isn't quite a hero anymore either. Her evil instincts persist, and she often uses severe means to defeat her enemies, taking out Enigma Fisk with little effort and no mercy either.
Number 3. Cosmic Ghost Rider. The Ghost Rider of an alternate dimension where Thanos killed everyone on Earth. This rider made a deal with Mephisto so that he could seek out and destroy Thanos. Riding his space motorcycle, the rider teamed up with Galactus to hunt down the Mad Titan. When that failed, he went back in time in an attempt to kill Thanos as a baby. He instead raised the baby Thanos, somehow managing to make him even worse. He traveled the cosmos, punishing evildoers, becoming the first Ghost Rider to take their mission to an intergalactic level. But who was this version of Ghost Rider? What makes him so determined, ruthless, and vengeful? The answer? He's Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. You don't get much more dangerous than the powers of the Ghost Rider paired with the abilities and psychosis of the Punisher.
At number 2, we have David Jarrett from the Earth X universe. Aside from being one of the most powerful on the list, this variant has to be the most terrifying looking as well. After coming in contact with the Terrigen Mists, Jarrett gains immortality and an incredible healing factor, as well as the ability to actually create clones of himself on command. He rides around on a motorcycle, which I know doesn't help his power, but should be mentioned since it adds a lot to his mobility potential. But either way, as far as Daredevil variants go, anyone with immortality and regeneration deserves a high spot on this list, especially since the original Daredevil variant already shows some extreme power without any actual superpowers. It also doesn't appear that David Jarrett has any loss of eyesight, which should be seen as an upgrade when talking about Daredevil. Finally, at number 1, we have Dark Devil. In Dark Devil's case, he's got a connection to Zarathos, a demon from an alternate dimension who empowers Dark Devil from within his body. This allows this version of the hero to explore much more mystical capabilities than Daredevil ever has before. Like for instance, the ability to turn his whole body into flames, which gives him a power boost as well as a durability increase. On top of all this though, believe it or not, Dark Devil even shows signs that he has some version of Spider-Man's powers. This is because he first appears in Spider-Girl issue 2, which takes place on Earth 982. And with these Spider-Man-like powers, he is even capable of sticking to walls and somehow using a power similar to Spider-Man's Spidey sense, which paired with his demonic influence from Zarathos makes for an extremely overpowered variant of Daredevil.
Number 10. Peter Parker of Earth 92100. You'd think the addition of extra arms for a Spider-Man would be an added benefit. When it happened to Peter in the 616 universe, he panicked and got rid of it with the DNA of Morbius. Understandably. But on Earth 92100, Morbius did not live long enough to help Peter, being eaten by sharks of all things. And since no one else could, Peter kinda had to just deal with it. Turns out, during a fight with Doc Ock, after Peter embraced his extra appendages, they actually give him a distinct advantage. They actually grant him much more strength and agility, and using them, he is even able to save Gwen Stacy from her demise. Unfortunately, they don't really protect him from the inheritors. Spider Limbs here sacrifices himself to save Spider-Man 2099 and Lady Spider in Spider-Man 2099 Volume 2 Number 6 in 2014. Number 9. Spider Assassin. Do you know how effective Spider-Man would actually be if he was a little less moral but still a crime fighter? Pretty effective. And while we've seen a few different examples of this, I chose to pull from What If? Spider-Man vs. Wolverine number 1, where we are introduced to Spider Assassin. In his universe, with great power comes great responsibility and greater enemies, which led this Peter of Earth 8351 to leave New York to protect his family. He joined up with Wolverine, and likely because of this friendship, he is much less opposed to sending criminals to the afterlife. He's also almost always serious, not resorting to quips and jokes to cope with situations anymore, which is reflective in his costume, which is a much darker look, especially with those black eyes. I really dig it. His web shooters have also been shown to shoot black webs in some panels, and they also include firearms. He is an effective addition to the Spider Army when it was formed, and an extremely effective Spider-Man indeed. Number 8. Spider's Man. Alright, yeah. Nope, not a fan of this one. You ever seen those videos of people finding spider nests where it's literally a swarm of spiders? Yeah, okay, imagine that, but they're superpowered and come together to take on a human form. Now you've got the terrifying Spider's Man, which, side note, that's a great name. In Spider-Geddon number 3 of 2018, we are introduced to a colony of radioactively powered spiders who consumed a high school boy by the name of Peter Parker when he fell into their enclosure at Horizon Labs. After consuming Peter, the spiders gained a sort of hive mind in Peter's image and began fighting crime in cruel York of Earth 11580. Other than his usual Spider-Man powers and the benefits of being a swarm of spiders, the colony is also able to poison its victims with a bite, or, if they're hungry for power, devour them whole. And it's incredibly hard to actually de-life this guy, as even a single spider being alive means technically Spider's Man is also still alive and can multiply to rebuild itself.
At number 7, we have the Zombieverse Daredevil. This version of the hero should be considered because even though it's a fleshy corpse that probably doesn't have a huge defense stat, it does have the ability to effectively transform any other living being into an ally with a simple bite. And since we're effectively ranking the power set of each of these variants, the added abilities that zombification gives to this version of the hero should be considered as much as any other power boost. Not to mention, the zombie Daredevil basically has immortality, unless I suppose its body is entirely destroyed, but no matter how you splice it, immortality is immortality.
Number 6. Spider-Man 2099. Probably one of the most loved characters on this list. The Spider-Man of Earth 928, Miguel O'Hara, or as he's better known, Spider-Man of the dystopian future of 2099. This version of Spider-Man has many similar abilities to 616 Peter Parker, but some that are not so similar. He has super speed, which is actually capable of somehow creating a decoy. His spider sense allows him to telepathically communicate with others. He has accelerated vision, he has retractable talons, and also has fangs that he can use to paralyze others. And he has the famously disgusting organic spider silk spinnerets on his wrists. He first appeared as a preview in Amazing Spider-Man number 365 in June of 1992, and in his own series in Spider-Man 2099 number 1 in September 1992, and he is a titanically awesome character.
Number 5. Johnny Blaze. Johnny Blaze is a motorcycle stuntman who, in an effort to save his surrogate father, Crash Simpson, from dying of cancer, made a deal with the demon Mephisto. Mephisto promised to cure Crash's cancer in exchange for Johnny's service. Unfortunately, Crash perished in a stunt gone wrong almost immediately afterwards, and Johnny became the Ghost Rider. Although he has tried to rid himself of this curse many times over the years, Johnny has used his powers to punish evildoers and do a lot of good, despite the evil inside wrestling for control. He is the most well-known Ghost Rider, possessing all of the iconic powers that come with the title. As he is the original Ghost Rider, other than Carter Slade, a hero with the same name but different powers, he is the barometer to which we are comparing all the other Ghost Riders and their powers, placing him at the middle of this list.
Number 4. Poison. From one symbiote to another. Every time that pesky Venom symbiote would try to merge with Peter Parker, he would only get halfway before Peter could repel him. Now, what happens if Peter Parker is defeated by Venom, who completely bonds with him? In the What If Spider-Man The Other story, after Peter is defeated by Morlun and cocoons himself under Brooklyn Bridge, he is offered the chance to be resurrected by the Spider God. But instead of allowing this, he refuses and is ejected from his cocoon, non-resurrected. Cut to Venom, who, being Spider-Man's crazy ex-girlfriend, senses what is happening and completely ditches his current host. He intercepts Peter's body and, after months of struggling, fully bonds to Peter. Now, Peter has all the fully realized powers that come with being a symbiote, but he actually has stingers that are capable of piercing the skin of Luke Cage, which is pretty insane.
At number 2, we have Daredevil 2099. Now we're getting into a territory where these variants have upgrades that make them objectively more powerful than the original mortal Daredevil. On Earth 2992, the 2099 universe brings us a brand new and very powerful variant of Daredevil who is commandeered by Kingpin's grandson, Samuel Fisk. Just like Daredevil, this variant isn't technically gifted with any extra superpowers, but he does have one massive upgrade that puts him high up on this list, and that is his full body suit of armor, which offers strength, agility, and durability boosts, as well as an arsenal of weapons that he can call upon on command. The suit comes with 2 pistols, as well as his classic billy club, and it even has targeting capabilities coded into it, offering support in aiming his pistols when needed. And even further, the rocket boots that he has with the suit give him an increase in jumping height and distance, which personally starts to make Daredevil 2099 give me Iron Man vibes. With his Batman-like car that offers even more benefits to his abilities, Daredevil 2099 had to make a splash on this list, if not for power points, then for sheer coolness points.
Number 2. Ghost Spider. The last Spider-Man mashed up with other heroes, but nonetheless possibly one of the most powerful potential mashups. Also, in my opinion, the coolest looking one. Also, it appears that Uncle Ben leaving this plane of existence is actually a really good thing. See, on Earth 11638, Ben never loses his life to a mugger, and he helps train Peter with his powers and helping him form Parker Industries. Peter and Uncle Ben end up building a machine that allows Peter to lure alternate versions of Spider-Man to this reality where he absorbs their powers to increase his own. That kind of took a dark turn, didn't it? But when he tried to do this to the apparently most powerful Spider-Man from Earth 616, he is de-lifed and his soul is sent to hell, where, with the assistance of the Infernal Hulk, he is fused with the spirit of vengeance, becoming the Ghost Spider. If you know anything about Ghost Rider, you know how actually insanely powerful he is, even going toe-to-toe with Galactus at one point. So yeah, this Spider-Man / Ghost Rider guy is potentially extremely powerful. Number 1. Cosmic Spider-Man. There was a point in time when Peter Parker of Earth 616 absorbed the Enigma Force and became the most powerful version of Spider-Man we have ever seen, even capable of punching the Hulk into orbit. In the mainline continuity, he doesn't have it for very long, But on Earth 13, he kept the powers and became the hero Captain Universe. So, this Peter Parker has all the usual Spider-Man powers, but also now has cosmic awareness where he can sense things on a subatomic level and from crazy distances. He has energy manipulation, giving him energy blast and flight. He also used his abilities to manipulate matter, making his webs as strong as adamantium, or even changing their shape altogether. His universe became a safe haven for all the Spider-Men when the Inheritors were hunting them, because Captain Universe could defeat them, and his cosmic powers are gone when he leaves that dimension. Unfortunately, he is consumed by Solus, who used the life force basis of his powers against him in Amazing Spider-Man number 11 in 2014. He's still cool though.